Hi friends, welcome back to Teacher Therapy, and I wanted to start a new series about teacher anxiety and the causes of teacher anxiety. You might be wondering, why would I want to do that? Well, I am currently in my 7th year of teaching, and I have been feeling a lot of anxiety lately, and something in particular happened to me yesterday that just got me really flustered and upset, and I kind of want to talk about it. So the first part of this series is going to be about observations and just the crazy insane way that teachers are being observed these days. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and please subscribe and comment below if anything resonates with you. All right. So it all started yesterday around, I don't know, it's probably the last 25 minutes or so of class. And I just kind of peeked over at my email and I see an email entitled observation. And I click on said email, it's from my vice principal, and it mentions the idea of the entire 4th grade team coming in to observe me, in addition to the instructional coach, in addition to my assistant principal. And that would total about 7 people. And I'm being told this the day before, it's the end of the school day, and technically, this is kind of a new thing my school is doing. They were supposed to let us know last Thursday if we were chosen for observations. So naturally, I kind of freak out because the time that they are wanting to observe me is a time where basically my entire day is coming to a close. I teach 5th grade, so basically the last 10 minutes before we go out to recess at the very end of the day, the kids are packing up and just getting ready to go home and everything that's involved with getting them ready for a transition. So basically a gaggle, a gigantic monstrosity of people are wanting to come into my room and observe me teach, but it's like, hey, it's the end of my time. I'm not even going to be teaching anything. If anything, kids will be wrapping up with independent practice and we'll be getting ready to go home. So I was frustrated to begin with at being chosen. This is my first year teaching 5th grade. I'm brand new to the building. This whole having whole grade levels of teachers observe other grade levels of teachers is something that they just rolled out to us and kind of shocked us with and acted like it was going to be something that we were so excited about. But I had thought to myself, you know what, at least I didn't get picked and I hope I never get picked. And of course, at the very last minute possible, they tell me that I've been picked. So I kind of wrote back an email because, my leader asked me if it was okay. And I said, you know what, honestly, this is really late notice. This is the last, 5 to 10-ish minutes of my class. I have a tiny classroom that I'm in that was not even designed to be a classroom. It's pretty much like a closet that's attached to the library. So I let them know, having 7 adults in that teeny tiny room is probably going to be a little bit distracting. And honestly, I am brand new to the building and brand new to teaching this grade. I really kind of don't feel comfortable with having, 7 teachers, administrators, and leaders come watch me. So I was super honest and just let it out and just emailed that back, but it was the truth. And it just really got me stressed out, the whole situation. And it just, it gave me an idea to do a video, because I remember back in the day when I was a student, let's see, I graduated high school in 2005. So that kind of gives you an age range of when I was going to school. So I never remember random people coming into my teachers' classrooms and plopping down and just watching them. And if it did happen, it probably happened maybe a maximum of 2 times a year. Never did I remember just a gang of adults coming into a classroom and plopping down and watching the teacher. And it really creates so much anxiety and stress for teachers. So we were kind of processing about this, myself and my 5th grade teammates, with our instructional coach after school. The whole topic kind of organically came up, and I just casually mentioned that, you know what, like, I hate being observed. It's so stressful. And my instructional coach proceeded to kind of make me feel like an idiot and a loser for feeling that way. And she literally was shaking her head at me, like pretty much saying it's completely ridiculous that teachers would not want to be observed all the time. And it just got me thinking, I've only been teaching for 7 years. And the observation culture has gotten worse every single year that I have taught. The very first year I taught at some random charter school. And basically we pretty much had an informal evaluation and a formal evaluation. Maybe that equaled out to about 4 observations for the entire year, but they were scheduled. Now, yes, at the beginning of the year, the principal might kind of pop in for a minute or two, and then that was it. Then the next year, they went to some kind of weird evaluation system where we had to be observed 10 times in the year. All of them had to be completely unscheduled and surprise evaluations, and they could not be for more than 10 minutes at a time. And they had this long list of things that they had to be observing when they popped in at any time. And literally, it was things like, the teacher is actively teaching and giving instruction. And a lot of the teachers thought to themselves, like, well, what if the kids are taking a test? What if they're doing some kind of independent practice? What if they're doing group work? And the answer basically was, well, if you're really doing what you're supposed to, it'll all work itself out and it'll all average itself out. So that was pretty miserable. Then I ended up going to a private school, which was literally the worst experience of my entire life. That experience deserves a video all its own. But essentially, not only did I have sort of random people observing me, I had, parents wanting to observe me. I had basically kids reporting back random things every day on purpose to upset parents. So even though administrators were not in the room that much, it was almost worse because you kind of felt at all times kids are on purpose watching me to tell their parents random things to get me upset. Then I went to another public school. So that was charter school, private school, public school. And then that one was just crazy. Literally everybody was observing us at all times. And I didn't even know who half these people were. And it was right off the bat, like first day of school, first month of school, first semester of school, all the time. There were district people that would be in, the school counselor would be in, of course the instructional coach would be in, all of the administrators would be in. And literally the first time that the counselor came in, she came with a dog, like just casually walking around the classroom with the dog. So it's just been crazy. And now I'm at my fourth school, and I feel like this place is sort of trying to take the cake for observations. Okay, but the weird part is it didn't necessarily start off that way at the beginning of the year, but now they're wanting us to videotape ourselves. They are wanting teams of teachers, not one teacher, not two teachers, but like whole teams of teachers with the instructional coach, with an administrator, all come in to observe teachers. And then this is where it gets kind of crazy. Literally this week, pretty much one of the senior level, like superintendent level people are basically coming to the room, and they're going to eventually be observing us doing this new rollout of this new reading program in February. It is February, and yes, we're getting a new rollout of something that we need to be doing this point in the year, which is crazy all by itself. But she's going to be in my room. Now, I thought it was kind of nice. She's at least going to do a demonstration lesson for us, which I think is actually like really shocking and amazing. So total kudos to her for that, but it's with the expectation that she's coming to see us do it next. And who knows what kind of people will be with her then. And so it's just something that, went from when I was a kid non-existent to now progressively every single year that I teach, it just getting worse and worse and worse. And I think there could be a way where some of the observation could be healthy, but I think in so many of the places I've been at, it does feel like a gotcha. Just the mere fact that they don't want to even tell you when they're coming feels like they're trying to catch you doing something wrong. And to me, I kind of liken it to having visitors at the house. Maybe if someone is your very best friend, you don't mind them just showing up to your house at any given time and, seeing cat litter in the middle of the floor or something. But, if, maybe your in-laws or, somebody, the queen is coming, you want some kind of notice, because that's just real life. Real life happens, and you kind of want to have some kind of preparation for what's going on. Because let me tell you the truth, I honestly feel like when people are in my room, I feel like my students act worse. 10 out of 10 times. I don't know why at all. You would think that they would be terrified with like 5 people coming into the room to watch them. But for some of them, it's like their personal comedian auditions. And I think a little part of them, they're kind of like, I'm getting you back. Like, watch me act up. And they know you can't really do anything but kind of smile and say, now little Billy, time to behave. And I have actually stopped lessons before and called kids out and said, look, just because we have somebody in here that's a visitor doesn't mean it's your opportunity to act crazy, because that's not okay. But I mean, those times are just so incredibly awkward. And kind of going back to the anxiety part, which is a bit more serious, I am not a psychologist, I am not a real life therapist, but some part of me believes that the constant fear of having somebody bust into your room, I've literally actually had, come to think of it, my last district, they would come in with cameras. They would come in recording. And at any given time, they could upload whatever you were doing to Twitter. Like, none of this had consent, none of this had permission. But anyway, that feeling in the back of your head has to do something to a lot of people psychologically. For me, it's really stressful. Just the idea that at any given time, someone can bust in and pretty much judge my whole teaching existence off of a few minutes. And sometimes they just don't come in at good times. They don't think, okay, let me come in at the beginning of the lesson. They'll come in at some really awkward, weird time. And they a lot of times have a look of judgment on their face. It's so hard not to feel judged. Now, I do think that there are people out there that absolutely do not care. Literally, the whole world could be live streaming their classroom and it would be fine with them. I'm absolutely not one of those people. By nature, I'm private. I'm shy, which is kind of funny that I'm now doing YouTube videos. But anyway, I am just not a person that wants to continuously have eyes on me. And it's not even that I feel like I'm doing something wrong. It's just the fact that I have had it happen where I get judged so unfairly over something so silly. And obviously, teaching a room full of fifth graders, teaching 24 fifth graders, anything could happen. So it's nice to even have notice to be able to prepare kids sometime and say, okay, somebody's coming, please be on your best behavior. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, there's several things that have frustrated me with this. Again, I kind of touched on it with a teacher gaslighting video, but just the fact that nobody has even acknowledged that this might be scary, that this might be uncomfortable. It's kind of like we're just completely stripped of our voice, we're stripped of our feelings, and everyone in the world around me acts like it's the most normal thing ever to just have this constant scrutiny and this constant observation. And let me tell you, formal observations are stressful enough, the ones that you could in theory plan weeks for, but just constantly being afraid that somebody's going to come in when you're, goodness forbid, sitting down in a chair or something like that. It just adds to this massive sense of stress. It adds to a massive sense of always feeling like you are one step away from getting in huge trouble. And I know it is true for me, but I know it has to be true for other teachers. Being in that kind of culture and climate, feeling like you're always one step away from complete exposure and getting in trouble has to have some kind of psychological effect. And honestly, just every time I hear about one of these new initiatives, it makes me want to be a teacher less and less. Because you know what? I didn't sign up to be America's next teacher. I didn't sign up to be some kind of, teaching star that models lessons for, 7 adults. If you want to do that, great. Be an instructional coach. If you, for fun, want to model lessons for adults. But that's not what I signed up for. I'm there for the kids. I'm trying to meet the kids' needs the best I can. But having adults constantly barging in and busting in the room and just throwing off the whole flow all the time makes things so incredibly stressful. And then the opposite problem can be true. Sometimes you might have an administrator that's been in your room like 3 times during the whole school year, but they have a fully formed opinion of you about just a little bit of time that they've been in your room. And so what do I think is the solution for all of this? I honestly think having honest conversations with teachers would be a better solution. They could ask you, hey, what is going on in your classroom? What are some of your practices? What's working well for you? And then they could really ask you sincerely, do you think that it would be helpful for me to come in, for me to give you some pointers, for me to just give you some ideas? And on the real extreme of this, when I was a part of Teach for America, they literally had something pretty much called real-time coaching, where someone would be standing at the back of your classroom giving you like timeout signs and stopping your lesson in front of the kids and interjecting or being like, no, don't do that. It's just gotten bananas. I don't feel like there's many other professions that are treated this way. Master's degree level professionals just treated like children, treated like they're not trusted, and not even really talked to and communicated with, but just this weird power dynamic of just feeling like they have the leverage to bust in whenever they want, to judge you however they want, and sometimes not to even give you any kind of feedback or to like leave you weird, rude notes on your desk. That's kind of happened to me too. And again, it was lacking conversation or context. The instructional coach didn't say, hey, what led up to this? What was your anticipatory set? What was the exit slip? Are you having a part one, part two? Literally, it'll just be some sheet that basically has like 2 cheesy things that they thought you did good and like a list of things that they think you should be doing. And in all actuality, you may be doing that, but since they so rarely take the time to really communicate with you and talk to you like a professional and talk to you like a human, those things don't get discovered. So anyhow, I think the whole observation culture for teachers is so incredibly stressful. It creates so much anxiety, and it just leads to teachers constantly feeling like they're not trusted, feeling like they're going to get in trouble any minute, and ultimately feeling like they're completely unfairly judged because they have no control over when somebody that's evaluating them will pop into the room. So I'm curious about your experiences. What's it like at your school? What do you think the ideal scenario is? Do you think the observation culture is great? Do you think it leads to accountability and it's awesome? Or do you think it's ultimately unfair and stressful to teachers? Please comment below and please subscribe and please have a great day. Bye-bye for now.